depressed. Now these are genuine feelings, but they may not be logical. You cannot put a cause and effect relationship saying this happened, therefore this happened, and therefore this person is crying. A lot of times emotions and feelings are not logical. Now I need to strike a balance between the intellectual part of me and the emotional part of me. I cannot do without any of these. I have to have my intellectual in place as well as understand emotions. If I only go logically, then I may not understand people around me. I may not be able to work with people. Now, when IQ was the big thing, everybody was like, if you've got a small child, get the IQ test done. You would know how intelligent your child is. After a lot of research, people realized that IQ is not the only important thing. There are a lot of people who have a very high IQ, but they fail miserably in their lives because they lack the interpersonal skills. They lack the emotional quotient. They're low on emotional quotient. So you need to balance intellectual quotient and emotional quotient. You also need to balance the two sides of your brain. Our left brain and right brain operate differently. Your left brain is the logical one, which thinks in a linear fashion, straight logic. Whereas your right brain is creative. Your left brain will look at all small details of things, where your right brain will look at the macro picture, the total picture. Now these two operate very differently. They say very intelligent people have a very well-developed left brain. Artists have a well-developed right brain. So you have to balance the logic, intellect, and the creativity. That's another balance that we need to strike. So when we talk about inner balance, we're talking about balancing various components within ourselves. Now this is a particular statement that I really like. Now what this means is I take responsibility for my inner peace and my inner balance. Now if somebody comes and shouts at me, and if I say that, oh, I'm disturbed because that person shouted at me, I'm putting the blame on the other person, I'm not taking responsibility for my own reaction. I reacted to that person's shouting. I had the choice not to react. That person can keep shouting. I maintain my calm. It is my own reaction to the shouting which creates an imbalance, which creates a disturbance in me. So when you say that, the greatest obstacles are emotions such as anger and attachment. Now what does anger do to you? There's somebody who did something wrong with you 20 years back. But it was so bad that you're very angry at that person. Even now, you have very strong feelings. What has happened to that person? That person most probably is not at all aware. So he is blissfully happy. That person doesn't know you are angry. Who's suffering from that anger? You? For what reason? Because somebody did something wrong? So it is your own anger. It is not leading to anything positive, but it is creating a disturbance. It is creating an imbalance within you, and you have control over it. So emotions such as anger, attachment, fear, suspicion, these are the emotions which may cause this imbalance. Fear, for example, we fear about so many things. This may happen, that may happen, what if this happens? Now, things don't happen that way. The probability is very low. So once in 100 times that thing will happen. But we've already feared about it 100 times. So we have created a disturbance, we have created an imbalance 100 times, and then finally when the thing actually happens, if at all it happens, that's the 101st time. The 101st times can be justified because something really happened, but the first 100 times we got disturbed with just our own emotion of fear which was creating that imbalance. Now there is this concept of centering which these people have introduced. and which also talks about balance. Now what they call as centering is the process of understanding or becoming aware of what you really want, what you really feel, and what you really need. Now needs and wants are different things. So understanding that is centering. Now the more aware you become about what you are and what you need, more secured you feel, more balanced you feel. So it's about self-awareness, understanding where you come from and what is the center of your being, what do you really stand for, what are you. So creating more awareness about it will give you more confidence, security and balance. Now that was about internal balance. So that's about me. Now we move on from me to we, people around us, and then to the world. So this is about connecting with the world around you. So now we want to talk about the balance around us. Earlier we spoke about the balance within us. This is the balance outside. Now what do we balance? When we connect with people around us, we connect with them in different roles, or we play different roles when we connect with people. Now if you look at our lives, we mainly operate at three levels. There's a personal life, there's a professional life, and there's a social life. So we connect with people on these three different levels. And when we connect with people on these three different levels, there is a need to balance these three levels. Anything in excess may cause imbalance. We play a number of roles in each of these categories. We play a number of personal roles, we play a number of professional roles, and a number of social roles. And in each of the roles that we play, we connect with people. Now some of the roles that we play are more important than other roles. Now the importance may change on the basis of which life stage you're going through. So if right now I'm playing number of roles, like I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a daughter, these are the personal roles that I'm playing, maybe I'm a sister and so many other roles. On the professional front, maybe I'm a trainer, facilitator, teacher, I'm also a writer or a speaker. So these are number of roles that I play. On social aspects, I would be a friend, a relative, probably a mentee, a mentor. So I play multiple roles. Now which roles are more important would depend on what am I going through right now. So if your children are in important ages, your parent role becomes most important through that. Suddenly there is a challenge at workplace, the work roles, the professional roles would take the front seat. So the importance will keep varying throughout your life. And different roles will have different gives and gets. Now gives is what you need to put in, what you need to do for that person with whom you're connecting, and get is something that you get from the connection. Now if you're looking at parent and children role, when you take birth, you connected to the world through your parents. So you are a child. Now what is the kind of give and gets that you have? As a child, you're completely helpless. You're completely dependent on your parents. So for the first few years, it's only get, and get. There's no give. Now, when you become parent for the first time, there's a small child. Is there any give and get? You're giving a lot of care. You're giving a lot of, attention. You're taking care of the child. Is there anything that you get from the child? Yes, the child gives you a lot of happiness. Maybe a feeling of creating something new, a feeling of complete dependence. So there are always gives and gets in each relationship. Now as the child grows, there are different gives and takes. As the child grows further and starts working, there are different gives and... So even in one relationship of child and parent, these gives and gets will keep changing depending on the life cycle.